Is President Trump protecting American workers or triggering a global economic disaster that no one can stop? Let us know your take in the comments below. Welcome to TVAI, the channel where global policy meets sharp analysis. Stay informed, stay ahead. In a stunning turn of events, President Donald Trump has reignited tensions on the world stage by announcing a 104% tariff on all imports from China. A move so aggressive it has been described by some as economic warfare. Framed by Trump as a patriotic stand against Chinese domination, this sweeping tariff policy has rattled markets, provoked foreign retaliation, and deepened internal divisions across the United States. From Trump's perspective, the tariffs are a form of economic justice. He claims they correct years of unfair trade practices by Beijing that have hollowed out America's manufacturing base and left the U.S. dependent on foreign supply chains. They took our factories, they took our jobs, and now they want to take our future. That ends today, Trump declared at a fiery rally in Pennsylvania. The message resonates with many Americans who feel left behind in the globalized economy, especially in industrial states where foreign competition has devastated local industries. But not everyone sees this as a revival. Wall Street reacted instantly and dramatically. The Dow plunged nearly 800 points within hours of the announcement, while the S&P 500 posted its worst single-day decline in over a year. Goldman Sachs issued a stark warning, noting that prolonged tariff disputes could slash 2025 U.S. GDP growth by up to 1.7% and increase the likelihood of a full-blown recession by the fourth quarter. Global investors are now scrambling for safe havens, with gold prices surging and bond yields falling in a classic flight to safety response. China's retaliation came swiftly. Beijing announced counter-tariffs targeting $60 billion worth of U.S. goods, including soybeans, semiconductor components, and aircraft parts, crucial sectors of the American export economy. In a televised address, Chinese officials accused the U.S. of hegemonic bullying and vowed to pursue a multilateral response through the World Trade Organization and regional alliances. The world must not be held hostage by unilateralism, said Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Adding to the diplomatic firestorm, Canada and the European Union have expressed grave concern about the global implications of Trump's tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau criticized the U.S. policy as reckless and destabilizing, hinting at possible trade realignments with Asian and European partners. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen warned that a global economy built on threats and tariffs will only lead to fragmentation and stagnation. Inside the United States, the battle lines are not only international, they're deeply domestic. Trump's own cabinet is reportedly divided over the long-term viability of the tariff strategy. While U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow support the tough stance, officials within the Treasury Department, including Janet Yellen, have expressed concern over the inflationary impact and potential erosion of U.S. credibility. And there is real political cost at home. While Rust Belt voters cheer Trump's hardline tactics, suburban voters in coastal states are raising red flags. The National Retail Federation estimates that American families could face an average increase of $1,200 per year in household goods due to tariff-induced price hikes. Meanwhile, agricultural states like Iowa and Nebraska, already wounded by previous trade clashes with China, are now facing the risk of further losses as Beijing shifts its imports to Brazil and Argentina. Economists argue that this trade war could not have come at a worse time. With global growth already sluggish, and central banks tightening monetary policy to curb inflation, any major disruption in trade flows could tip fragile economies over the edge. The International Monetary Fund has downgraded its forecast for global growth by 0.4%. citing the tariff escalation as a principal factor. Critics of Trump's policy also point out that the global supply chain is far more complex than it was decades ago. Many American companies rely on Chinese components to build their products. By inflating the costs of these inputs, tariffs could harm the very businesses they aim to protect. Major U.S. tech firms like Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla have all reported potential disruptions in their production schedules, prompting some to accelerate efforts to relocate their supply chains, not to the U.S., but to other countries like Vietnam and India. In this evolving chess match, some experts believe that the goal isn't just economic, it's geopolitical. By targeting China so aggressively, Trump may be attempting to reposition the United States as the dominant global actor in the face of a rising multipolar world. Others argue it's purely political, aimed at energizing a voter base ahead of a contentious election year. Either way, the consequences are undeniably global. The geopolitical ripple effects are already being felt. Japan has convened an emergency economic summit with ASEAN nations to discuss stabilizing regional trade routes. The Gulf states, long reliant on stable trade corridors through Asia, are re-evaluating their positions and pivoting toward China to hedge against U.S. unpredictability. Even African nations, who have traditionally stayed on the economic sidelines of major power conflicts, are now concerned about food and fuel prices surging due to the disruption in global commerce. Meanwhile, small and medium-sized enterprises, both in the U.S. and abroad, are struggling to navigate the uncertainty. Many lack the resources to absorb sudden cost increases or pivot supply chains overnight. For these businesses, the tariff war feels less like strategic positioning and more like a slow-moving economic tsunami with no clear resolution in sight. Think tanks across Washington are also weighing in. The Brookings Institution has warned that the long-term erosion of U.S.-China economic cooperation could result in a techno-economic bifurcation, where the world splits into two rival technological spheres, leading to inefficiencies and slower innovation globally. On the other hand, the Heritage Foundation supports Trump's strategy, arguing that hardball tactics are necessary to force fair trade. Ultimately, the question remains: is this a visionary move to reset global trade in America's favor, or a reckless gamble that could spiral into a full-blown economic crisis? Will China blink, or will this become a drawn-out standoff with long-term consequences? The world stands at a critical juncture, and the decisions made in the coming weeks will shape the future of international trade, diplomacy, and economic stability for years to come. Let us know what you think. Is President Trump leading a revolution for American prosperity, or pushing the global economy to the brink? This is TVAI, where clarity meets complexity. Subscribe for more insights, and don't forget to share your thoughts below.